it's great to be back. You're watching Inside Fetish, and I'm Genesis. Mel, it's great to be back. I've missed you.
Let me get my mic on.
Oh, she's got to get her mic on.
Thanks. It's great to have you back. You were missed, and
I missed it.
It's awesome getting you back.
Thank you. Now, how was your holiday?
My holiday was good. I spent time with my daughter and went to Tehachapi with family members. New Year's Eve, I had a great time. It was awesome. But yeah, it's been pretty awesome.
Good. Feeling better. I kind of had a little relapse. Not, the energy's been bad, and kind of have like this compromised immune system. So when everybody gets sick, I just get slammed. But I'm doing a lot better, and I'll be back on again every week again. Don't have a guest tonight, but that's cool. I have lots of things to talk about. But mostly I've missed you all, and we have a lot of people watching tonight.
There's a few people that are on. It's early in the show, so, what we've been doing. Oh, I didn't have my mic on.
I said it was basically that there's a few people that are watching, and if you're watching, please come into the chat room. But we're having a tremendous amount of people watching the recorded shows on YouTube and on Google+. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
That's great.
And from Twitter and Facebook, they're all coming in from all the different places.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing how many people actually are watching the shows. I am dumbfounded.
It's really great since we've done this whole new, system with YouTube. That's really been beneficial for us. So.
Well, it's at Vocal we were kind of buried because we showed nudity. We understood that.
Right.
But here on YouTube we have so many people that, especially with the movie of 50 Shades of Grey coming out.
Right. That's kind of been a positive thing for us, actually. Don't you think?
Yeah, I do have views on it. What are your views?
I haven't read the book. I've just listened to people who have, and I get mixed views. But overall, I think it's been a positive impact for our community. Although I do enjoy being on the subversive side of life, this kind of brings us out from the shadows, and it definitely has been good for Sanctuary because we get couples who are normally swingers and do more of the vanilla stuff want to come by and look at our place. So in that respect, it at least has opened the lines of communication between folks and people who are in the community, that they'll ask questions, and that's always a great doorway into, great communication and education. So I think it's been a good thing.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are coming in. I think it's really good that they are coming in, but I think they're our future, and it's up to people like yourself and myself and other teachers to teach and educate the new people that are coming in, because it is so important, because they are basically our future leaders of our community. I think 50 Shades of Grey is bringing a lot of people in because they're curious.
Absolutely.
And the ones that are more than just curious are going to be our leaders and our teachers.
Right. So I have some announcements to make. Got some things coming up. Sanctuary's starting to kind of come out of its shell of just having things hosted at Sanctuary. And so one of my ladies, who goes by Mistress Bella, put an event together for this Saturday the 17th at Bar Sinister. And so a few of the Sanctuary ladies, myself included, will be doing demos Saturday evening starting at 10 at Bar Sinister. We'll be doing demos. We'll be playing with each other, there to talk to people if you have any questions. But along with myself and Bella will be Mistress Ashley Rains. You all probably remember. She's been on this show like 3 times. And Switch Fiona and Submissive Lizette, just to name a few. And then also happening on Saturday night at the 17th, the Sanctuary Girls are busy this weekend. The Susan Block show has invited Switch, Dear Serenity, and a few of the other Sanctuary Girls who I can't quite remember who's all coming. That was still kind of open. Cyan and I were supposed to go, but I had this to go to. So, but stay tuned for that, and you'll see which Sanctuary girls are. And then in exciting news, next week is AVN. Is that not exciting, Mel?
Woo, yeah, I think that's really exciting. I understand that the Sanctuary's doing their dungeon. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I want to go.
Yeah, you should. It's at the Hard Rock. And not only are we going to be on the vendor floor, but there's going to be demos and classes. And some of those people teaching classes are Miss Lily. You and I both know her from Detroit. And a lot of people watching this show, I know.
She's coming out to Vegas?
Yes.
Oh my God!
She's
an
angel. I love her. Her and I really connected in it was Atlanta, and she's a kick.
Oh no, she came to DomCon here in Los Angeles. Did you meet her then?
But
Oh, you were sick.
Yeah, and I didn't really get a chance to speak with her like I did in Atlanta. So we had a great time. And then Snow Mercy will be teaching one. And then Mistress Mona and Miss Madison from Sanctuary will be teaching a class. And then in the evening, there will be shows with headliners such as Emily Marilyn and Jewel Marceau, Hutsy Hahn, Sir Nick, and Sanctuary's Lady Remedy and Fetish. And then also India Summer and Master Gear, and then emceeing will be Sir Gabriel. So the dates are January 21st through the 24th. The hours are Wednesday, 2 o'clock to 10 p.m., Thursday and Friday, 12 to 8 p.m., and Saturday, 12 to 4. And the party is from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. So if you're not busy and you want to come and have fun in Vegas, join us at the Hard Rock. So there's a lot going on. And I'm sure the classes will be really informative, and all those people I mentioned are really great educators. So been busy planning. We're not planning DomCon. We're getting more and more things, to do. And you and I were talking earlier about teaching. Both of us are becoming more and more involved with teaching. I really enjoy it. How about you?
That is my height of passion, is teaching.
Right.
To be able to teach new people that are coming into lifestyle, or people, seasoned players. Been teaching at the stock room, at the Lear. Been going to be putting on some different kind of more original sort of classes. I can't wait to make announcements on it. But yeah, so we have Justin, who's just come into the chat room, and he's been nominated at the AVN Awards for best like whips or leather, toys to play with, implements. So he's just come into the chat room.
Well, congratulations. Oh, I think I know Justin.
Yeah,
he's the one that did the auctioneering at Sanctuary. Justin, congratulations. I'm thrilled for you.
I sent him over to you guys.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, he was on my show. I interviewed him, and I've interviewed him twice. Once.
Oh, I love his toys. He's got alligator skin toys. They're
yes.
Amazing. And the colors, these beautiful dark greens, and they're just vibrant. They're not like anything else you'll see. So congratulations, Justin. You truly deserve that. So I look forward to seeing you at AVN.
Yeah, he's pretty excited about it.
Who else do we have in the chat?
There's Little T, there's Angel, a few more people that are in and out, and so we do have people that are watching it. And Justin says thank you. Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody to the chat room. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be here doing my thing again. And I was just talking to Mel that not always am I going to have a guest, because I like to talk a lot anyway. So I often want to pick a topic to discuss. And one of those topics is talking about toxicity within a relationship. And join in. Please give me your questions. And so I thought I would kind of start off with, sometimes we hear of breakups within a DS and people take sides like, oh, well, that was a bad dom or that was a really bad sub. And really, it just comes down to communication between people. Don't you agree, Mel?
Yeah, well, when you have emotions that,
Absolutely.
sometimes relationships end really badly, and
Oh, yeah.
especially if the two people that are in the breakup aren't really healthy emotionally. When you get attached to somebody, it's very difficult sometimes to let go. And sometimes people have to take sides because of certain events and certain things because people get hurt. So
Right.
I think it's not any different than the vanilla world, I gather.
No, yeah, that's where it comes down to is the communication and the honesty. But I'm definitely not about bashing male or female doms, who's better, who's the worst. I think toxic people are toxic people, and with that goes saying that it's not always the dom's fault, or is it always the sub's fault. But what I find at the core of it is that somebody's not being honest in the beginning and communicating. Like, for example, there have been so many times that I've talked with people, and a few of those have been submissives, and they'll talk about this relationship they're getting into, and I'm like, well, Master A is very sadistic, likes to play this way, and is not looking for a girlfriend. Okay, so there's that example. And the person that I'm talking to is saying, yeah, but I think he'll change his mind with me. And so right there, you see failure right away, right?
Mhm.
But it happens so many times where they think because of the aesthetics of the person, they think that is the person for them and that they can change them, which I think happens in vanilla relationships too. They think they could be the one to change. So I'm just going to start with that right there. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and answer or ask them and I'll answer. But I think with that, I'll just continue to talk about it because it is a real problem. I see it all the time. And then my problem is when the rest of the community wants to blame somebody when really it's between those two people. And where I find the fault with the master is is just continuing to let this go on without, they're the one in charge. Stop it and say, listen, I told you this was what I was about. Either you'll conform to that or you need to move on. But as you know, DOMs are very nurturing, and even the most sadistic ones can be very nurturing, and they want to, you know, continue the relationship because they don't want to break it up, because I guess there's like that whole I didn't want to fail, and because they care about the person. What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, I think not everybody is completely compatible with everybody else.
Absolutely.
And I think that one person can be toxic with another person and not toxic with another. So
Right,
I think
right,
it depends on communication, and really why you got into the relationship and how fast did you move. Did you not
right.
think before you got into a relationship? And I think that dominant sometimes, get a bad rap because that they will release
Absolutely.
somebody because they realize that it's a relationship that isn't going anywhere.
Oh, yeah. And I think what most people don't realize is that dominants are often the ones who are the nurturer, no matter what their facade comes off, that they're supposed to be badass. They really are the caretakers of the relationship. The submissive in their dynamic cares for the dom in other ways, like they need to be bowed to, they need to be actually served. But when it comes right down to it, the dom is taking care of your heart and soul and your mind, pretty much. So even if they're not playing with you physically, you are still on their thoughts, and I think so many submissives don't understand that.
Yeah, I think sometimes we have people that come into our lifestyle no different than BDSM, I mean, than vanilla
Right,
relationships,
right.
um, with a lot of um, stuff on their shoulders, a lot of, bad
Baggage.
experiences. Yeah, and I think that they still bring that into the relationships, into
Oh,
the
yeah.
DS relationship, and it can create, a very, very toxic. And I think that submissives and slaves sometimes will tell a dominant what they think that a dominant wants to hear instead of actually how they feel.
Right, right. Any questions regarding any of this that we're talking about yet?
Not that, nope, they're not yet, not in the chat room.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'll just go on and on and on. But you were saying that I believe that that's true too. Sometimes we tell people what they want to hear, and that's not going to help the relationship at all. And, I've known and have heard of people that will go and fly out of state to meet a Dom for the first time. And it's like, how many times have you communicated with each other before you decided to pack and fly to another state before, you know, doing this? And a question?
Well, no, I flew to Michigan to go home to my dad's birthday party,
Uh-huh.
and I was meeting a slave for a first time. But
Mm-hmm.
we talked online. We did webcam. We talked and we talked,
Okay.
and we thought we knew each other. Then
Right.
he moved out here to be with me, and my biggest regret is
Yes.
that I allowed it to happen
Right.
because he was on his best behavior,
Right.
and you can't. Long distance relationships are really hard because you really can't see what a person is like 24 hours a day.
Right.
And sometimes you have to really look at their motive of why they're willing to move halfway across the country. And
Right.
basically, he wanted to change his life, wanted to reinvent himself, and used me as the medium to do it. And what happened is afterwards, our friends all took sides.
Oh,
And it was a bloody mess.
that's horrible.
I
I
mean,
do remember that. It's
yeah,
awful. It's awful. Um, but yeah, it's really, really hard to see if somebody's being authentic with you or just telling you what you want to hear. And I think it's just experience. You just definitely need to listen to your intuition. Did anything in your intuition tell you anything at all?
no,
You had
but
no
but I
vibes?
no, but I have to admit that I was extremely damaged.
Oh, yeah,
So I was
yeah.
very vulnerable. I just got out of an 18-year relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't really, my faculties were not really all there.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
I can't really blame him 100% because there were telltale signs,
Mm-hmm.
and I just did not pay attention to it.
Yeah, but don't be hard on yourself. I mean, it still comes down to the fact that we're human beings. And I wouldn't judge you harshly on that at all. Um, it just, it's just like in the vanilla world, people are trying to meet their perfect match. Well, that's happening here too. You want that dom or you want that submissive and you want that relationship. And it's difficult. Like in me and Cyan's relationship, we want other people in our family, and that's taken a few years. And now we have a couple of people within our family, and it's great. And it just really takes time because we've had other people that have come in and they've come out because it's like that thing. They tell Cyan what she wants to hear, and it's not how they live their lives. And again, there was some toxicity there. And it's always heartbreaking for me because Cyan and I both want that extended family. My brothers, sisters, everybody has their role in the within the household. And so, I mean, these things, their relationship is important. It's going to take time. And it's going to take time to find that person for you. And oftentimes with submissives, they're looking for that dom to take care of them. And I've always said, just like in vanilla relationships, you have to already feel like you're a whole person before you go into a relationship and expecting that person to help make you feel like you're whole. You must already believe that. And I think it's the same way with the DS relationship.
What do you think are telltale signs that someone is a very toxic human being?
I think that when you're in a very ordinary situation, such as, let's say you're at a burger joint and you order some food and they screwed up their order. Look at how they deal with that. Watching how they deal with other people, and if there's anything that doesn't happen the way they want, that's a telltale sign. Another thing is just asking them, like, what their interests are, as far as, not just as far as BDSM, but what they like to do that makes themselves feel happy, and what kind of job are they working? Are they living on their own? Do they have hobbies? Do they have friends? I think those are the first things to look at. And then when you're actually out and about with them in very ordinary situations, that's a key to seeing pieces of their behavior that they don't normally show come out. Like, for example, driving, somebody cuts them off. Are they a road rager, or are they just like, okay, buddy, and let the person in and move on with their life? So those are very key things to look at. What were some of the things that you noticed when he moved here that were very different from what you thought when you first met up with him?
I think his being preoccupied with sex.
Okay.
I'm not saying the art of having sex.
Right.
I'm talking about being on the internet, talking to other people,
Right.
constantly, getting up early in the morning, masturbating for he can,
Right. Right.
all the time. And I also think that people that have to be the center of the room,
Mm-hmm.
that wants to be noticed,
Right.
they walk in like a big tornado.
Yes.
I think that they have, they have a big problem.
Yes.
Because they want all the attention.
Yes.
And they want to be noticed, and they want to feed their ego. And I think anyone that has a constant pursuit of feeding one ego is pretty dangerous. And because your ego can never be satisfied, it always wants more and more. Justin in the chat room said, I just got away from a woman that was very violent. I'm very aware of how things are supposed to be and still let it get worse. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we don't speak up. Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely, I don't want anybody to feel in the chat room or people watching this that you should feel like you should be berating yourself because a relationship went wrong. I just want to bring this out into the open and discuss it. But like I said to you, Mal, gosh, don't feel bad like you screwed up. It's a learning experience, and like I said, we have a lot of love to give, and we're healthy people and we love this lifestyle and we get it, and we also have a strong sense of who we are, but it doesn't mean someone else does. And I think that's why it's hard for us to recognize right away when somebody's not healthy. So Justin, how long were you involved in this relationship, and how soon after you met the person that you got into the relationship?
Well, there's a bit of a lag, so he'll probably be commenting in the chat room in a couple seconds. But with me, I realized that I was vulnerable. I chose him. Mm-hmm. I allowed him in my life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was I did not make a good judgment, and that is something that most people really have to, when they break up in relationships, they really have to take some responsibility
Well, sure,
for allowing it
sure.
in their
Just
actions.
don't beat yourself
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
you know. But yeah, definitely, our feelings are involved, and we want to uh, have. We don't want to be negative towards that other person. We want to give them a chance and not be judgmental, I think. And and as we know, a lot of slaves do come and seek a dominant because they do want guidance. And it's just that it's really important that we learn how to tell the difference between somebody who has their life together, but they just want some guidance, and somebody who just absolutely does not have it together mentally, emotionally, and they need more than guidance, and they need something that you just can't give. Yes.
Yeah, Justin said he was in 2.5 years in a relationship with this person. So that's quite a long relationship in the BDSM lifestyle.
Yeah, it is. It is.
How long have you been in a relationship with Mr. Cyan?
9 years. We're going on 9 years, actually. No, we are at 9 years. So it'll be 10 this
Wow.
April. Will it? No, yeah. No, 9. We will be going on 9 years in April. I've met her 10 years ago. So yeah, it'll be, and it's been difficult because she had other slaves, but she still has Carol, and there was some derision amongst her children, so to speak. But it's not been easy with me and Cyan, and I definitely was probably toxic for her at some point. And there were things that were toxic for me that were going on between other people with Cyan, but we got through it. So, but she and I both wouldn't stand for certain things, and we kind of defined what the problem was that I was having. She defined problems on her side. We found out what the other issues were, and she put down some guidelines, and not really ultimatums, but like, this can't go on. You need to get some help for this. And so that's how it's been able to work. But I know that's not every story, but it hasn't been easy at all. Very, very heart-wrenching at times, and just a lot of hard work. I don't know else how to discuss our relationship and the tribulations that we went through.
Well, Pig Carrie has just come into the chat room. Oink, 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 oink.
Oink, oink, Pig Carrie.
And there are people that are watching the show. If you are not in the chat room, please come to TSR
Yes.
Network and come in the chat room and come and join the conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
So what was the thing that stood out with you that you knew that you wanted Mr. Cyan in your life?
I don't know if I if I became infatuated with her when we started playing, but I'd come to her dungeon location to get some mentoring, and just sitting and talking to her, I was like so many people, they're just, I don't know what the word is, but they're enthralled. And then I had come to the play party that she has where she was going to mentor me, and I'd be playing with people, and then I had asked her, can we play? And I think it happened then where and it happened for her too. We just had a very powerful connection while playing, and she loved how I responded to her, and that was it. That is where the true love just grew, or started to grow, I guess. And just, I looked forward to her coming to the dungeon every time that I was going to be there, because I was practicing flogging, I was practicing whips, I was practicing knots with bondage and stuff. She taught me everything. And just her gentle nature, and at the same time that she was gentle, she was fierce. And I fell in love with that. And you have to ask her what she fell in love with me over. I'm not sure. But for me, and I mean, I've always told her in our past 9 years together that she is the only one I will ever be in love with. I have crushes on people here and there, and like we both want to have like a family, and we can be sexual with them, but and they'll be family. But as far as who, the people married, it'll be me and Cyan. And
Do either one of you have veto power on who you guys can have extra relationships with?
we haven't discussed that. It really hasn't been a problem, but that's very interesting. I usually don't have to do that. She listens to what I have to say, and I listen to what she has to say about a certain person. There's been many times that people have come into our lives, and I'll be like, me and Carol usually have the radar for douchebaggery, so to speak, and so we will let her know our fears and our questions about this person, and Cyan will keep that in her database, so to speak. But in the 9 years that I've known Cyan, I've known her to give enough rope out to a person to hang themselves. And so she pretty much trusts me on that account too. So I don't know that we'll need the veto power, but it's an interesting question. It's funny. I'll have to ask her. You want to have veto power?
Well, veto, I mean, I had that with my past slave, the one that moved out here.
Right.
And I had to veto him constantly because the people that he chose,
Right.
It was like I wouldn't touch that person with a 10-foot pole. And it was just because he was a try anything.
Right.
He didn't care where his dick was, where his
Right.
mouth was, where his butt was, where his cock was. It didn't matter to him. It was all about just that whole, I have to have sex, I got to try everything.
I've got to have everything.
Got to have everything. And the little boy in him was just so hungry for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I moisten my lips.
Moist.
I am addicted to lip things. I need to have moist lips. I can't stand it. I don't know. I have a problem. I can just call it a fetish. I have a lip fetish for wet things on my lips. So, but any questions? Are they chatting up in there about the topic at all?
No, they're quiet in there. And
Why are you guys quiet in the chat room?
They've been quiet the last few weeks. So they've been pretty quiet.
Is it over the holiday blues?
Yeah, it's really amazing. We've had some really great nights with a lot of people in the chat room. We've had some not great nights.
Right.
But it's really the recorded shows that we really look at and that we really see how many people are actually watching, which is awesome.
That's funny. I like to watch some of the recorded shows too, especially the ones that me and Ashley Raines did together.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cyan and her husband thought that we would be a internet sensation, and I'm like, we were just being ourselves. We were just kind of being dumb and funny, but it's a crack up to watch those things.
Ashley's hysterical. Listen,
Ashley is hysterical. Hey, Ashley, if you're watching.
Pig Carey said, are we talking about relationships or, I can't say that word specifically, the relationships between Mistress Cyan and Genesis? I'll let Genesis answer that.
We are actually talking about toxicity within DS relationships, and I just used my and Cyan's relationship as an example. But no, it's mostly about, communication and being honest with the person that you want to hook up with, and how often that there is dishonesty and people are not communicating fully, and that's why they don't work out. And it's also, how do we know when a person is toxic? And I think it's look at them in an ordinary situation to see how they'll react to something, and you'll know right away if this person is toxic or not.
Yeah, I think how you know someone is toxic is if they leave you when you see them extremely exhausted and tired.
Yes.
And when you feel like you've been
That's an emotional vampire.
Yeah, the energy is drained out of you. When you start doubting yourself, when you start feeling insecure because the other person is not doing anything to reinforce the relationship.
Absolutely.
And it brings out your insecurities. When they start saying very hurtful things.
Yes.
And doing hurtful actions.
Those are great examples. That's it exactly.
Yeah. Justin in the chat room says, any thoughts on powerful submissives?
Powerful. Well, I have one school of thought, because this is what I'm imagining a powerful submissive to be. One who's self-confident, self-assured, and is a great slave, and one who serves and feels very confident in that. Is that what you're getting at? Or are you looking at a powerful submissive being like topping from the bottom? Go ahead, free to answer that. But I think I got it. I think I understood you, though.
Well, you've been with a lot of submissives, and you've been, dealt with a lot. Do you like strong, powerful submissives?
Absolutely. I mean, if you are a dom and you're looking for a slave, but you want them to not think on their own, then you're looking for a minion, which that's okay. There's a lot of people that want to be minions. That's okay. That's okay. But I think when you have two people that are in a relationship together, you both need to be strong. And I don't think it's any less submissive for a submissive to know their own mind. And in the dynamic, it's all about how they convey that message, makes them submissive. So I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that. What's your thoughts on that?
Justin said, I want a sub that rules the roost, powerful in life and submissive in the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will drink to that.
I will too. I will too.
Yeah, I don't.
And they are out there.
Yeah.
It's not me. I'm a pain in the ass. Cyan will tell you, but in our own relationship, we have worked out what works for us. So everybody knows I'm a pain in the ass. But,
yeah, I like a strong
I do
submissive,
too.
male and female.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're not one-dimensional people. We all have a job, and a lot of submissives are oftentimes a head of their department, a manager, they own something, and they're leading people all the time. I mean, I see a lot of clients who are executives, CEOs, in charge of a lot and have a lot of responsibilities. And they're like, I just want to submit. And it's because they want to shut that out and it's nice to just let somebody else be in control. So I completely understand that. I'm a switch. I like both sides as far as playing. And my throat is so raw right now. But I'm not just letting anybody, yeah, I do. I'm not just letting anybody dom me. It's Mistress Cyan. But I like my mind to shut off and somebody to just like, okay, you just need to listen to my voice now and do what I need. Because, as you all know, I help run a convention. I'm a co-owner of a dungeon, and I'm in charge of like 30 to 40 girls at any given time. So I get it about the strong submissives because they are in charge of their lives and they're in charge of other people. So they probably welcome submitting to somebody. I hope that answered your question. Kind of rambled on there. Excuse me while I take a drink. It's so dry.
Pig Carrie in the chat room says, I was in a toxic DS relationship way before I moved to California. It caused a major backlash, not only in my blood family and the small town where I went to high school. We had an incident at my 20-year high school reunion. Amen to that, to Justin. And Justin says, I love powerful females. They are rare and rarely available.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like powerful male submissives or slaves.
I do too.
And some of them are not that powerful, and I like someone that can stand up to me.
Yes, I also like soft-spoken submissives and soft-spoken male submissives and female. I love them all. I do love them all. So back to Pig Carrie. So how did you get through that? That sounds actually very traumatic to have something happen in your hometown and at a high school reunion function.
Have you been back to any of your high school reunions?
Who, me?
Uh-huh.
No, I haven't. There is one coming up this summer that I'll probably go to. I'm still in touch with a lot of my friends from high school, from a very small town. Ashley always calls me Rebecca from Sunnybrook Farm. So
that's cute.
I am. I'm still in touch with friends. I love my family. I hear about these horrible stories, kind of going off subject now, folks. Bear with me. But I always hear how people are stressed at Christmas time seeing their families. And I didn't go home. I stayed here with Cyan's family and had Christmas with them. It was wonderful. But I always look forward to going home. I always have. I have a great time with my family. And anyway, so it's completely off subject there, but I still talk with all my friends from school. Like, I've known these people since elementary school, since I was like 8 years old. So, they all know what I do. It's on my Facebook.
Yeah, I have 2 Facebook accounts. One's for TSR Network, and the other one is with my real name.
This water's delicious.
Thank you. And I've been to all of my class reunions.
Yeah.
And we're having another one coming up. I think it's 30 years. Yeah. So
30 years.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see some of the pretty attractive cheerleader type of. Oh, I better be careful what I say. Some of them might watch it. Never mind. Never mind. They might know about it. It's really important to see how much we've all basically have changed. Right. And some of the ones that were kind of uppity and weren't very nice to a lot of people have turned out to become some of my really, really good friends on Facebook.
Did you go to a big school?
Oh, we had a very huge class. Yeah, St. Clair Shores. We were the very first high school in the nation to have a walkout during the Vietnam War.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so wow. we were part of the SDS movement. There's a whole big.
That's amazing.
There's a whole thing about the Huron papers. Wow. We knew a lot of the people that were involved in that, so it's been all in the news about it, about, basically people that are running our government were involved in this.
Well, I guess I had a really, really nice upbringing because I graduated with 50 students, and there was no bullying going on in my school, and everybody was nice to everybody. So, when my experiences, I just have one Facebook account. It's my real name. And people out in the community know my real name. I don't have any hang-ups with people knowing my name or where I'm from. So it's been very interesting when I talk with people that I went to school with. They're all pretty cool about what I do. They have very cute questions and really good questions. And so it's not been, and I mean, I grew up in a conservative place, but they're all pretty cool, So, I mean, I can't believe all the violence that happens in schools, and I've had none of that in my upbringing. I wish everybody had the childhood an upbringing that I did, because I mean, all the kids were nice at my school. I mean, there was always somebody that was more popular and whatnot, but basically, when I look back, they were just some nice kids I went to school with. I was very lucky. Anyway, any questions?
Pig Carey makes a comment, says, the town police got involved. Classmates happened to be the town judge. This town is a very, very small town like Mayberry, LOL, laughing out loud. My classmate, I graduated with about 150 classmates. That's still a big class for a small town.
For a small town, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really unfortunate. How do you get over something like that? You become a pig?
Piggy, yeah.
You become piggy.
Yeah, become piggy. Drugs,
piggy.
alcohol,
food,
yeah, abuse. No, we don't spank people because we're sick.
We spank them because we like being sick.
We like it. We like doing it. We like doing it. So, can you share an experience that you don't have to name names, someone that was very toxic in your life, just to describe what it felt like? And maybe the people in the chat room can also relate.
I guess it's like you said, it was very, very draining, and I always felt guilty. I always felt, and they also enjoyed making me feel like I wasn't doing enough for them. But you can't put somebody's psyche back together. You can't. That has to come from them. And this had nothing to do with, this was like 12 years ago, before I even ever moved here. I almost got killed because of this person's lies. But it was the turning point for me to start cleaning house, so to speak, and start really figuring out who I need in my life and who needs to go. And basically, I didn't even know half the problems this person had. I had met up with her, and she's like, let's go out tonight. And I'm like, okay. She didn't drive, and she had no money. So I'm like, not a problem. And so I go, well, let's still go out. I'll just keep everything on a tab. And she's like, well, no, I need cash. And I'm like, okay. So this was me, too, not asking questions, just, okay, not a problem. And I'll need groceries for tomorrow. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you cash, not a problem. And so we go, and we're driving around Portland, which I didn't know, and I'm the one driving, and she's pointing and showing me where I need to go. Long story short, she took me to a drug. She was getting drugs with money that I paid for, which will show on the ATM slot. So I gave her money, and she's like, you're going to have to walk around and not just sit in the car. And so I'm like, okay. And then I hear all this screaming from this person because she just knocked a bunch of coke out of her hand. The powder just went everywhere, and she took her money, and she's like, come on, let's go. He grabs me, and he tells this friend of mine, she's dead. Now go get the money, and you can kiss her goodbye, basically. And he had grabbed me, and he had put me in his van. And as soon as that had happened, there were all these hands from people that had been listening to this bring me out of his van. And so, but it was a lot longer than actually that. I mean, I got knocked around by this person a lot before he shoved me in his van. And we went back to her house. She's, telling me how sorry she is. And on that drive home, I got very clear about what I needed to do for myself. And I got to her house. I go, you owe me $160. I want to see it tomorrow. I know your ex pays you some alimony. I want that. I'll show up here at noon tomorrow, and I want it. And I never want to speak to you again. And that was the last time. There's a lot of things that I will put up with from a person, but once you put my life in danger, and so that probably went a little too far. I should have found another red flag before that. And I guess I would say that when I would go away from her feeling like I didn't do enough for her, and I knew that I did, that's when I should have stopped it. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Comments in the chat room. Pig Carrie says, I moved to California and had Mistress Nicolette as my owner, and she goes oink oink. Justin says, gee, you're describing my last relationship right down to being worn out all the time. I think
Wow.
someone needs to kiss it better.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and
That's sweet.
I have a tendency to stay away from people that do drugs,
Yes,
that are avid drinkers.
yes. And that was what I thought. I thought her issue was alcohol.
Yeah.
Had no idea it was so much else.
And I also stay away from people that try to buy my love.
Yes.
Always
Yes.
buying me things, always trying to spend their money.
Yeah.
You need this. Oh, you need some money. Here's money. Because it becomes a heavy price.
Yeah. And, you know, I stopped looking at the fact that at that time I was struggling myself with my own emotional well-being and a job. But what job I did have, you know, I was taking care of my responsibilities and I had very little. And that was the thing, that I was too giving, and I had to kind of start taking a look at why are you so giving? And it was because I was a little insecure at that time too and felt like I needed to have friends. And so, I mean, I'll give my last dime, I still will, to somebody that I think needs it. But I've learned, who do I give my last dime to? You know, that's very important. And so I'm glad I had that experience, although it almost got me killed, quite literally. But I did survive it, and I definitely learned from it. And I started looking at what were some of those earlier signs I should have paid attention to. But I just didn't have enough of a self-esteem to go, that's definitely not good for me. I felt like I needed her in my life as much as she probably needed me.
How do you feel about dominance? When I say dominance, I talk about male and female. So people in the audience that are watching, how do you feel about, and the audience and the people in the chat room, I'd love an answer to that question too. How do you feel about doms that stay home and their submissives work and have to provide everything?
Well, I think if that is something those two people discussed and they, it's, what's the word when you agree to something? We use it, the C word in our community all the time.
Commitment?
Not commitment. It's consensual. Then it doesn't have any bearing on me at all. I think that's between those two people. I mean, I can't say that I don't feel like, oh, well, that's a lucky bastard. You know, I would, well, I have, you know, there was a lot of times Cyan took care of me financially when I was going through rough times. And, you know, I was a kept woman for a while. It was kind of cool. But I mean,
you've been, you know, her partner for, you said 9 years going on 10.
Yes.
You've been very instrumental in helping her with her business, taking over the new sanctuary, which has been a lot of work.
I'm not like sitting and eating bonbons, that's for sure.
Yeah, it you know, and sometimes I mean, you both started out in a relationship probably on an equal balance, and then it's when you develop that relationship with somebody, if there's a problem where someone has to not, you know, can't work at the moment, that's pretty understandable. Yes. But I'm talking about dominants that, you know, have many submissives. They all work,
pay for them.
and they all pay for them. But in the chat room, Pig Carrie says, at this point in my life, I only need positive in my life. Going to school, working 2 part-time jobs. And Justin says, can I get $5? Oh, no, 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 no.
Like that $1 million?
Yeah.
4 questions or 4 minutes?
I don't know. He just wants money from us. $5, $5.
$5, $5. That's cute.
So what advice would you give to somebody that are in a toxic relationship, and what are the, how would you tell them to handle it?
I would say that number one, how much do you care about this person and love them, and is it worth it to you to start saying, listen, we need to put down some structure here. I absolutely need, like, say the problem is drinking, okay? Whether it's your dom or you're the sub, listen, somebody's got to take control. So say that the issue is drinking, and say one of your new limits is that you are not going to be abused in any way, verbally, emotionally, will not hang out with them while they're drinking. That could be, I mean, I hate saying ultimatums because we all know what to do with ultimatums, right? But there has to be some sort of setting your foot down with whether you're the dom or sub in the relationship, because when it comes down to it, you have to take care of yourself first. And you just are going to have to take an inventory of what you're willing to be, so to speak, forgiving about, and what you will not have in your life. And then that gives that other person an opportunity to either change it, but it also gives you another way at looking at this person by how they're going to respond to your bringing this up about your feelings. If you're feeling drained and you're feeling just worse in this relationship than if you had no relationship, it's just time for you to just say, I'm done. And sometimes that's the best way to help another individual. So I hope that answered your question. And like I said, this is a topic that we could discuss for ages, and continue to learn. So I hope that did help you. Are we about to wrap up? One momento?
1 minute.
1 minute.
Yeah.
So see if you can answer me back real quick if that did it for you, Justin. But how about you, Rev? When I didn't turn off my phone.
I don't know. I think that the more you get to know somebody, the more you communicate, the more you have conversations,
yes,
the more questions you ask, the more time you spend with someone,
yes,
the more you're going to get to know them, and you will know if it feels right or not.
Absolutely.
Even the most wonderful, kind, considerate, amazing person can also be sometimes a very toxic person to you.
Absolutely. And you are saying, too, sometimes two people brought together can bring toxicity out.
Yep.
And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the personalities. Maybe you're too much alike. I don't know. But I want to say to all the submissives, just because you're submissive, if shit's going really bad for you, you got to stand up for yourself. And that's it for now. Thank you, everybody, for joining me in the chat room. I had a great time, and it's great to be back. And thank you, Rev. It's a great show. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Woo-hoo!
Welcome back to TSR Network. Woo, 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 woo. Woo, woo.
Woo-hoo!